It's hard to imagine a bird that's more reviled than the vulture. When you think about it though, these birds play a very important role in the ecosystem. In fact, nature would be a lot worse off without them. Vultures are scavengers, which means they eat dead animals. That's right, roadkill. They go after the carcasses of mammals, reptiles, birds, you name it. Anything that's dead and starts to rot is fair game for a vulture. Vultures also have powerful beaks and claws to tear apart the flesh of their prey, and they don't mind getting their feathers dirty doing it either. Although there are over 20 different species of vultures around the world, today we'll be focusing on one particular vulture that lives in Africa. These African white-backed vultures are found throughout the continent and are fairly common to see soaring above the savanna. While they may look like they're just floating around with no effort whatsoever, there's actually a lot more to it than meets the eye. Adult African white-backed vultures usually reach a weight of around 11 pounds. Their wingspan can reach up to 9 feet and their body length can get up to 3 feet. With their broad wings, these birds have a relatively large surface area, which allows them to ride air currents and travel long distances without expending too much energy. It's not unusual for them to cover up to 60 miles in a day, sometimes even more. This is made possible by the shape of their wings. The primary feathers on the outer part of their wings are long and pointed, while the feathers on the inner part of their wings are shorter and rounded. This gives the wings an asymmetrical shape that allows them to soar effortlessly on air currents called thermals. To take advantage of these thermals, vultures usually launch themselves into the air from high up on a cliff or a tree. From there, they spread their wings and let the thermal currents carry them aloft. As they gain altitude, they use their keen eyesight to spot potential food sources below. When they find something interesting, they simply follow the scent to see if it's worth eating. If it is, they land nearby and start digging in. But vultures aren't the only ones who want to eat the carcass. Other scavengers, such as hyenas, jackals, and even mongooses, will also be on the lookout for a free meal. So vultures often have to fight off these competitors to get what they want. Once they've defended the carcass, they'll begin the process of consuming it. Vultures typically eat the organs first, then move on to the muscles and other tissue. They're not picky eaters and will consume just about anything, even the eyes and the brain. In addition to their sharp beaks and claws, vultures also have strong stomachs that can digest almost anything. This includes bones, hair, and even metal. They're also able to eat spoiled meat that would make other animals sick. Because of their unique digestive system, vultures are able to break down the carcasses of animals quickly and efficiently, which helps to prevent the spread of disease. And yet, despite their usefulness, vultures are often persecuted by humans. In some cultures, they're seen as bad omens, and in others, they're simply killed because they're in the way. This persecution has led to a decline in vulture populations around the world and has made them a rare sight in many parts of their range. So next time you see a vulture soaring overhead, take a moment to appreciate these amazing creatures. They may not be the most beautiful birds, but they're certainly one of the most important. And that's all for now. See you next time. Hi, this is your host. Hi, this is your host. When most people see a vulture, they run away screaming. Even though these birds are very beneficial to us humans, we often kill them just because they're ugly. But if you don't run away from them, they might actually become your friends. These birds have an incredible life in the wild that most people don't know about. So let's get started. No. 1. They only eat dead animals. Vultures are scavengers, which means they mostly eat dead animals. They can detect a dead animal from miles away using their sense of smell. They have nostrils at the base of their beak that allow them to sniff out a carcass. And when they find one, they usually don't eat it right away. Instead, they wait until other scavengers like hyenas and mongooses have finished eating, so they can feast on the leftovers. This is not only because they're polite, but also because the leftovers are usually more tender and easier to eat. However, sometimes there isn't anything left to eat, so they have to search for another dead animal. If they don't find any, they might go hungry for days. That's why vultures often regurgitate pellets. These are small balls of undigested material that they eat during the day and store in their stomachs until they can digest them at night. Number 2, they don't need water to live. You might think that's disgusting, but it's actually pretty cool. You want to need to drink water to survive because they get all the moisture they need from the carcasses they eat. Also, they can survive without ever drinking water, which makes them perfectly adapted for living in dry, hot environments like the Sahara Desert or the Kalahari Desert. And even when they're thirsty, they can go long periods without drinking, because they can reduce their water loss by up to 90%. However, if they get too dehydrated, they can die from it. No. 3. They live with thousands of other vultures. Vultures often gather in large groups called vulture colonies. These colonies can have hundreds or even thousands of vultures, and they usually form around a carcass. The vultures stay in the colony until the carcass is finished. Then they fly off to find a new one. Sometimes different vulture species compete with each other to get the best carcasses. This is why you'll often see different vulture species fighting over a dead animal. But when they're done eating, they usually get along with each other. And they often play with each other's chicks while waiting for their parents to bring them food. They can fly really high. Some species of vulture can fly higher than Mount Everest, which is the tallest mountain on Earth. They can do this because they have special feathers that help them soar and ride air currents. This means they don't have to flap their wings very much when they're flying, and they can stay airborne for hours or even days. They also have special eyes that allow them to see very well from high altitudes. These adaptations make it possible for them to travel long distances without getting tired. And they also help them spot carcasses from far away. No? 5. They have a special way of communicating. Vultures communicate with each other in a variety of ways, including visual displays, vocalizations, and chemical signals. Visual displays are often used to attract mates or defend territories, while vocalizations are used to communicate with other vultures. Chemical signals are often used to mark carcasses or announce the presence of predators. For example, when a vulture finds a carcass, it will often circle around it and release a chemical signal that tells other vultures where it is. The vultures then follow the signal to the carcass and begin feeding. This allows the vultures to locate carcasses quickly and efficiently, and it also helps them to avoid potential danger. If you enjoyed learning about these amazing birds, please subscribe and leave a comment below with the facts you found most interesting. Also, check out our other videos about nature and wildlife. Thanks for watching! See ya!